Hello there, and welcome to another episode of Anime After Hours. Today, I'm your host, the anime student, like every other episode. I don't know why I felt like I had to mention that, but yeah. And today, the anime we're going to be talking about is Violet Evergarden, and now this could potentially be the most controversial Anime After Hours out there, because I don't think that this is as good as people made out. I'm going to be honest. Violet Evergarden is one of the most popular and highly rated anime on my anime list. It's within the top 50 for popularity and within the top 100 for rating, which sort of puts it in a league above a lot of other animes. A lot of animes you'll find are very popular but absolutely awful, and were popular because of like weird fandoms, like for example like Yuri on Ice or My Hero Academia. My Hero is good, but the anime is a bit subpar. Anyway, so Violet Evergarden is set in a world. It's very like pseudo post World War One. The world that Violet Evergarden is set in. They call it the Great War, and it ended after 4 years of conflict. I think it's sort of supposed to be a mirror of the real world, but with a sort of element of the supernatural, because she has like working metal arm prosthetics, which obviously they did not have in 1918. But basically, at the end of the Great War, she was tasked with raiding this castle thing with her major, is what she refers to him as. Basically, she ends up losing, both her arms, and I believe her leg. I can't remember off the top of my head, but she loses her arms, definitely. And basically, the last words that this guy, the major, quote unquote, leaves to her is "I love you," and then he fucking dies. She wakes up, she finds out he's dead, and she's like, "Oh, I have nothing to live for." But then this guy that sort of knew the major was like, "How about you can work for me as an auto memory doll?" Now, an auto memory doll basically was a doll. I don't know if this is a real thing, but in the show, is a doll that will basically write letters for people, because a lot of people at the time were illiterate and couldn't write them themselves, and they'd also, do big press releases and stuff like that. Basically, the show centres around her learning to become a better auto memory doll. I mean, she goes to like auto memory doll school, which is a crazy thing to have to blurt out, and how she meets these like various clients. And by the end of the series, she's known like throughout the world as like one of the best auto memory dolls. She is the shit. You know what I mean? She is the number one goat. There's no MJ LeBron here. She's the top of the list, right? Because she goes from being this absolute brainlet who does not understand human emotions to being this doll who has an incredible way with words. And that's not why I don't like the show. I think it's very interesting how you see her character development throughout the 13 episodes, the side special, which I also watched, and the film. Both films, the sequel film and the side story film that we're going to, talk about. We're not going to talk about but yeah, anyway. But basically, I really did enjoy this. I think what really let down Violet Evergarden for me was the ending. But before we get that, we'll talk about what I really enjoyed about Violet Evergarden. So I really enjoyed the character progression. Obviously, you sort of get to know at the start of the show that, she is a bit emotionally numb, and you think, oh, it's probably some trauma related, because yeah, there always is going to be when people are like as dumb as a brick. It's basically revealed that she was like a war slave almost, and then she was taken in by the major's brother, who was like a horrible person, and then the major gets her and treats her with love and care, and so she basically follows him like a soldier, and that's why she has such a military approach to things, because all she knows is war, and then when she gets out of the war, when she's trying to do all these auto memory doll jobs, they're like, "Oh my god, you are so formal, why can't you have a bit of emotion?" And she's like, "What's emotion? Lamau." But I enjoyed the character development. She opens up more. These experiences she has with people allow her to understand what emotion is. Whether she actually herself or experiences those emotions, who knows? But the fact that we sort of begin to see that she's understanding the human emotional web almost is a very nice thing to see. Now, the specials and the movies are definitely worth watching. They sort of just detail other characters that she meets and how they have an effect on her ability to write letters. She meets with like a girl who is like the illegitimate offspring of like some aristocrats, and she has to get her through like aristocrat school and all this sort of stuff. And you know, for example, at one point she is writing letters for a newly married king and princess, and basically the love letters she's writing are very clearly like the public are loving it, but the princess is like, oh, it's a bit fake, this, isn't it? You know what I mean? And so basically she encourages her to write them, and you know, you can see, like I say, I hate to just sit and throw the fucking character development buzzword at you, but you see the character development, you see this getting better. Now, where I have a problem with Violet Evergarden and why I really do not like this series as much as I feel like I could have, comes with the Violet Evergarden movie. Now, I gave it a 9 on math, which instantly sort of brings down my... I'm going to change that to an 8 as soon as this video ends, right? Because it's ranked as 27th. 27th for reference. This is apparently, according to my anime list and the people that use this website, that all 600,000 of them that have voted on this, it is apparently the 27th best anime of all time. I think that is a load of bollocks, right? This film turned what was a pretty decent storyline, an 8 out of 10 show. It was pushing a 9 coming into this film. Personally, it pushes a 9 out of 10 show all the way down to an 8, and that's a big gap for me. For something to go from very good to great to almost perfect, it's a big jump. The gap between 9 and 10 is a lot shorter than the gap between 8 and 9 for me personally anyway. Basically, what the film reveals is all this development we've got where Violet has basically learned to live without the Major, and as far as we're aware, he's dead. I think we all knew he wasn't, but I was living in peace knowing that he was dead. We go from him being dead to him actually being, oh, he's not dead, he's just a prick who's living on an island in the middle of nowhere, that when Violet goes to visit him, he's like, nah, I ain't coming, shawty. You know, it's like, why? And he's like, oh, I don't want to speak to you. I treated you like shit. And he's like, well, did you? Not really. No, because she's like madly in love with her, and all the backstory we've seen, you were really nice to her. So what do you mean you treated her like that shit? You fucking freak. But basically, the film ends with her living with him on this fucking recluse island, and some girl who was interested in the auto memory dolls touring the fucking museum in Leidenschaftlich, which is where where she worked originally, to then going to the random fucking island. It was such a fuckery. As soon as I saw that he was alive in the film, I was like, right, let's wrap this shit up, because I know this is going to be bollocks. The fact he was a dick after she came up and she was just like, so upset and stuff, made me dislike his character. And the fact that we ended it with, oh, they went and lived happily ever after, blah blah blah. I don't mind happy endings. I think she deserved a happy ending, but she didn't deserve the fucking, oh, he's still alive. Like, how is he still alive after he got crushed all? There's so many unanswered questions that it just sort of, it really made me dislike the ending to this show. And I mean, I think that I'm probably in the minority here. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm in the majority, but I mean, looking at the rank, I'm clearly in the minority. I just think that the story took a fucking nosedive after after the show. As soon as the rights to the film, I mean, I don't know what the light novel was like, but I mean, as soon as the rights to the film were announced, they're probably like, how do we fuck this up as much as possible? And I mean, that's what they did. But I think overall it still gets an 8 out of 10 for me. The music was great. Like I said, the story before the film was really good, and I think whilst the film tarnished its legacy, in my opinion, it's not that bad that it completely throws everything before it out of the window, if you know what I mean. Like certain few shows have done. Jujutsu Kaisen. However, I would still recommend you watch Violet Evergarden. great soundtrack, great animation, iffy story, but I mean iffy story at the film, if goodish story in the show. I mean, what's not to like about what's not to like about this show apart from the film? I'm gonna keep saying it apart from the film. You know, it's got a great message that words are pretty and, you know, can mean so much more than the paper they're written on, and, you know, all this, that, and the other. And you know, I would really recommend watching this show. But you know, lower your expectations for the film is all I'd say. If you've enjoyed today's episode of Anime After Hours with me, the anime student, then leave a like. Maybe even subscribe to the second channel if you want to see some more second channel videos while I inevitably plan, create, and then dump a first channel video. But we'll see. That's all from me. Peace out, guys.